Hey, Bobby Manning here. Welcome to the Garden Report. We're back at TD Garden, Celtics All Access, CLNS Media. Got a big homestand here, 15 of the next 20 at home, and the Celtics started off right here. Jaylen Brown returning, fully healthy starting unit here, and they win 117-103. Al Horford dominant defensively against Giannis, holding the 20 points. Great team effort in the paint by making him pass out to other teammates there. Bucks break down as the game progresses. Grant has a great run in the halftime, hitting 3 threes in the second quarter, finishing with 5 to boost himself up to 45% from 3. Top 7 in the league now, Grant Williams. It's exciting, the things that he's doing and the possibilities he's opening for the Celtics and the units where he plays. He's not the story of this one for me, though. Jaylen coming back, and Jayson Tatum, 42 points, 16 of 25. Taking over down the stretch, attacking the wings that the Bucks had to put out there, like Javonte Smart, Grayson Allen, Pat Connaughton after Chris Middleton went down with an injury in the third quarter, and ultimately pressuring the Bucks enough, playing better than Giannis in this one, and being the deciding factor in this game with his 42 points. He's 50% from the field, going back to the Philadelphia game, and in this one, I thought it started to look like the best we've seen Tatum throughout his career, hitting shots, getting downhill, drawing 7+ free throws as he has for the last 7 games here. So excellent stretch, breaking out of his early season struggles is starting to turn into dominant basketball for Tatum, averaging over 30 points a game here. Ime, post-game, with some interesting comments about Tatum's approach relating to other superstars in the league, saying that he had a similar experience coaching Kawhi Leonard, where he had to absolve Kawhi away from looking at other stars in the league like big brothers, admiration, too much respect is how Jayson Tatum put it when he looked back on the conversation that Ime brought up in the post-game conference, and Tatum's touched on this before, the respect is there when he's on the court, but it's got to go aside in favor of beating these guys. And Tatum repeated what he said when he discussed this topic for the first time earlier this year, is that he's got to go out on the court and feel like he's the best one out there. In a game like this against a 2-time MVP and a champion now in Giannis, he went out and was absolutely dominant, the best player on the floor in this one.
Play from a different generation. Does that type of stuff not bother just because of maybe the AAU stuff and does not bother some of the younger players like it used to your guys and the guys who are older than you that said that's not happening again? Is that something that has to be kind of pushed across to them?
I think so. All these guys are working out together in the summer. They spend a lot of time together with all-star games and all that. And, quite honestly, I gave Jason examples of what I used to say to Kawhi as a young rookie and respecting guys too much at times. I told him, these guys aren't your older brother. Don't treat them like that. And he took it to heart and, came out in attack mode tonight. But it's across the board. Our whole group, we know what we have to do to be effective. And if my guys know me, I said I'm the most competitive guy, and I want to see that reflect on you guys. And so, like I said, they took the tape to heart, bounced back tonight.
Ime's comments, impressive. In this game, a feather in his cap after a film session where they go over 100+ plays defensively. The inspiration for Ime to say that to Tatum was that he felt like the Celtics were letting other teams take it to them, and there wasn't a pride on the defensive end with how they were getting beat up by Brandon Boston. This is me saying this in that Clippers game. Russell Westbrook high-stepping in on the fast break, and the Lakers embarrassing the Celtics in transition and at the rim with how poor the Celtics were on a 1-4 road trip. Tatum said, you come to expect some tension and some harsh words and some criticism in a film session after something like that. Tension within the team, too, during this game. Schroeder frustrated that Tatum missed him on a play. They got into a little bit of a disagreement along the sideline. Ime said afterward, that's just part of this whole communication approach. I don't always want to be getting on guys. So Schroeder in that circumstance gets on Tatum for missing a pass there. They have a little bit of a bull-up along the sideline, and then Ime said they moved right past it. Interesting moment, been a good win. I'll buy it. That the tension was getting high there, and Tatum had a great quote saying in an arena with 19,000 people, it's hard to use your indoor voice. Schroeder, a guy who's willing to grade at teammates a little bit. I mean, this guy went at it with LeBron James during his time in LA, and There were reports that the Celtics will listen to offers on Schroeder. I think that's fair, as I've said on post-game. He's had an excellent year. It was a sensational value contract. His value is probably higher than what it came in as here. And if he helps another contender and you can get some long-term pieces to help consolidate things here, or a young player, like I was throwing out there, Cam Reddish here, I'd love that. So that's an aside. Ime. Let me address this with him, because I've seen a number of fans, viewers, commenters, all kinds of people upset after that road trip with with Ime's criticism of the team's energy, effort, enthusiasm. Let's be clear. First off, Brown and Tatum wanted to be coached hard this year. They wanted to be criticized. They want to be held to a high standard, and that's what fans should be holding Tatum and Brown to as well here. It's great that they play well. It's awesome that they are what they are at this point, but clearly with the results of the last 2 years, they need to take it to an even higher level to become champions here. And Ime, I think, has done an impressive job in instilling a passing mindset with these two, and with Tatum in particular, it's going to take him becoming a high-level passer in this league for him to join the greats. You look at the best players in this league, including Giannis in this one, just peppering teammates for wide-open shots. They create open looks for teammates, and they do it consistently and at a high level here. Tatum did it in this game. Brown did it in an excellent way too. But when it comes to fans upset with Tatum saying, or with Ime saying mean things about Tatum, mean things about Brown and the group as a whole here, come on, these guys embrace it. It probably hurts at times. It probably messes with their ego at certain points here, but fans were frustrated with Brad Stevens, always just admiring the competition and saying how much of an honor it is to coach great players and the unique talent that Tatum is and Brown is and all this different kind of stuff. No, Ime looks at it and says, these guys are great, they can be greater. And Brown looked at himself after this game and said, we were good defensively, we can be even better out there. And Tatum is always saying, I'm not perfect. Now, are there times when Ime dumps off a little bit too much on these guys? Maybe doesn't take enough responsibility in his own right? I think that's something he's going to learn to do. Didn't love the rotations in this one. Haven't loved the rotations all of the road trip, going back 5-6 games here. So putting too many bench players on the floor at the same time, putting out the younger guys to die in lineups that maybe don't have a chance. At the end of the first quarter, Celtics didn't have Brown or Tatum out there. Didn't love that. You can criticize Ime for certain things throughout the flow of the game. Tight rotations. I know some fans are upset with the lack of minutes for Romeo, Aaron, Peyton. Sure, go ahead. I'm not going to gripe over how mean Udoka's being, because these guys can take it. They needed it, and it's worked for stretches in this year with the ball movement, with the defense that's completely turned around into a top 10 unit after being last for stretches down the late run of last year. I think Ime's done a great job implementing a ton of stuff by being direct, at times assertive and critical, and doing it publicly. It's just part of the game, I think, for a coach who's trying to instill his philosophy with this team and make it consistent, because we've seen the team do it for a game here. Will they do it on Friday against the Warriors? I don't know. So Ime, I think this is a feather in his cap. What I love about him coming into this game is he said, I didn't even talk much about the Bucks. We don't really care what the Bucks are doing, what they're going to do. They're going to do it. You know, there's a lot of great teams in this league who are going to do things against us. We need to do what we need to do, and we need to be that best version of ourselves, who we can be on the defensive end of the floor. Celtics went out and hammered that home. Even though Giannis was good in this one, the defense was better, because the Celtics have one of the best defenses in the league. They're capable of moving the ball game in and game out. End to end, I thought this was the best ball movement of the year. And Jaylen Brown, surprisingly, was a big part of that. 5 assists in this one, lead ball handler at the beginning of the game. Tatum playing off him, a little bit of a two-man game between those two. I was pleasantly surprised by what Jaylen brought to the passing game in this one. In his first return, he said he felt comfortable, scored 19 points, shot well in this game, grabbed a pair of steals during a 6-of-13 effort. Definitely a difference between Jaylen coming back from the injury the first time, where he looked hobbled and guarded in his movements, and in this one where he looked explosive and confident in himself, which is what the Celtics were looking for the second time around. And Jaylen did contend and shoot around that. He probably came back a little bit too early from the injury the first time around. I asked him post-game about how the passing, the playmaking, which when I was preparing for the story that I'm going to run on CLNSmedia.com for the morning, I thought there would be kind of a breaking in period with that. We'd see just how much time Jaylen missed, and frankly, how little time he got to spend on his playmaking early this year. I thought he was going to be behind the ball when it came to passing and running the offense, and there wouldn't be all that many opportunities. No, instead, Ime went back to what the Celtics did on opening night, empowering Brown in that regard. So here was Brown's answer.
Then I'm going to be aggressive, and if you double me, then he's going to look to be aggressive. And just playing with the ball a little bit more in my hands and trying to find guys and making the right plays. That's it.
Sneak a couple Zoom questions if we could. First one from Bobby Manning.
Hey, Jaylen, that was something I noticed too in this game was the amount of time you played with the ball in your hands. I know Ime had aspirations of you becoming a bigger playmaker this year, passing the ball a lot more, making plays in that spot. It looked like you never missed a beat, even with being out for 2 weeks. Why do you think you were able to be so successful as a playmaker out there? And, you know, do you feel behind in that sense with the time you've been out? Or, you know, just where are you think, as a playmaker and what you had goals for this year in that area?
I think I've made leaps, and that's something that I've watched this summer and really tried to improve at. You know, I haven't had as many opportunities to be in those roles where I'm the one that's setting the tone. Usually I'm the one that they're on the other receiving end trying to score. But as I, continue to find different ways on this team to be a threat and to be aggressive, having the ball, bringing it up, running pick and rolls, and finding guys is something that I feel comfortable with.
Brown also said he wanted to be on the ball a lot in this one to make it easier for Tatum and teammates. You heard him talking about his confidence and his playmaking ability there. We'll see how it progresses, because that's another area that hasn't been consistent this year when Brown has played, empowering him. Matchups call for different things offensively, I assume, and this has been a good matchup for Brown in the past. I was just pleasantly surprised by how strong of a playmaker he looked at the beginning of this one and throughout. And able to take over the game for stretches. The Celtics were down double digits early in this one, and he comes out, hits a three, an elbow jumper, finds Romeo on the fast break, draws free throws on the fast break himself following a steal, stripping Giannis on a play here. Brown was sensational, and in many ways, I think he's the tone setter for this team. Tatum's scoring sets a tone definitively here, but Brown, just by being on the court, ups the pace that this team plays at, increases the efficiency of their transition game. And if I had to look at Tatum and nitpick this one, this really was in many ways a perfect Tatum game, but if I had to nitpick it, those transition runs where Schroeder got upset with him being unable to find one, 2 turnovers on other plays in transition for Tatum. Brown's still the more comfortable fast break ball handler and facilitator and scorer on this team. So it's nice to have the both of them rolling together. We obviously talked on post game about the prospect of them breaking up eventually, 12 to 18 months, as Jake Fisher surmised on NBA radio, Sirius XM over the week. We'll have more discussions on trades throughout the week on our NBA Twitter Spaces that we're going to do on Wednesday when the trade market starts to open up. Players become available, including Schroeder, as I mentioned earlier in this video. So stay tuned for that. CLNSmedia.com, articles throughout the week. 3 days off coming up for the Celtics, so there'll surely be practice and other feature opportunities coming down the stretch here, as well as podcasts. Dome Theory going to have a new episode coming this week, as well as A. Sherrod Blakely's A-List podcast, Joe Sway with Cedric Maxwell, and the Causeway Street podcast, and of course, probably a midweek Garden report of some sort, whether it's on Twitter Spaces or here on YouTube. So subscribe to Celtics All Access, CLNS Media for those notifications. Celtics CLNS on Twitter. And of course, me at Real Bob Manning. I'll be back here Friday when the Celtics take on the Warriors. Check out the Com app, com.com/garden. Get yourself 40% off your premium subscription this holiday season and help out the Garden Report in the process. And if you're looking for workers, I know a million companies are right now. The labor market's in a crazy place in terms of finding employees. LinkedIn.com gives you access to millions upon millions of jobs, and it matches you with candidates and invites them to apply to that job. So linkedin.com/garden, you'll be able to post a job for free. If you're looking for three-point shooter, low post scorer, let me do that analogy again. We're not looking for a coach. Ime, again, setting the Celtics straight here, being a strong voice at the top, and I think has the locker room in tow and guys who are buying into his message and dealing with his criticism. I know it's probably tough for some of these guys, but they asked for it. They're rolling with the punches here. And I think even though it's uneven right now, a lot of the stuff that Ime is trying to get through to these guys is early in this year. So Celtics, the record's still not great. There's still a consistency factor that they have to hit going forward, and the challenges are going to continue to come with the Golden State Warriors in town on Friday night. Long way from there. For now, Celtics 117-103 winners here. I'm Bobby Manning for the Garden Report, Celtics All Access, and CLNS Media. We'll talk to you later in the week.